I always say there's 17 hours in a day because you should sleep for 6 or 7, right? So I'll say 7, and then you got 17 hours. So what are you going to do for the rest of 17 hours? That's your capacity. So what are you going to get done throughout the day that's your 17 hours that you have to get done so you won't have to roll to the next day? Because what we do is we get this stuff and we have all these priorities. We're going to work out. We're going to eat healthy. We're going to spend time with the kids. We're going to read a book because that's what your priority right now is. Right now, you're going to read books at night, right? So you have all these priorities, but you only have 17 hours in a day. And what we tend to do is we don't roll what we marked as a priority to the next day. I learned that a long time ago. And there's certain things where it's just like, man, I just don't have time to do that.
And you're watching social media and you're just feeling like you need to be doing way more. Or, everybody has it all together. And we know that's the biggest fabrication on social media. But in your head, you're like, oh, if they're doing this and that, then why can't I get all of this in?
Right. But you can't get it all in. Can't.
And that's okay.
And it's okay. But you just got to prioritize what you're going to do every day. Hey everybody, Gerard Bullock.
Hey Sarah, welcome back.
Welcome back. And today it's a rainy day, and it's we got our tea, and and today we want to talk about something that's important, and we want to talk about priorities.
Gabby came to you, what was it, yesterday? Yeah,
so Gabby, actually just on the phone, right? So Gabby comes to me, my daughter, she calls me and was like, hey, I want to go to this volleyball training on today. And I want to go to this volleyball training. We can talk about Gage too. So it was like, hey, when we talk about this, hey, I want to go to this training. And we were like, all right. I was like, well, why is that? She was like, well, I'm going to get better. And then it was like, hey, I got school. Like, I want to get better at school. And I want to get up early, start eating better. And it was like all these priorities, right? So what happens is priorities start competing for each other. And I just said, hey, look, just make a list of what you want to do and let's get it done, right? Same thing. Gage made it a priority to get up early yesterday, right? Super early, like 5 something, go do his push-ups and sit-ups. I made his breakfast like I always do. And then he made it a priority to go work out at wrestling and then make a priority. And then he was exhausted, right? So he couldn't really maintain that for 2 days in a row. I think he wore himself out, right?
I think he told me he worked out for 5 hours.
He did, and I told him. I said, man,
one night.
I said that's too much, man. So you gotta. I mean, I get. I like the ambition, but no, it's November, and everybody knows. All right, right now we're doing the tail off thing, right? So all the parties, but then everybody's going to get into goal setting for next year. They're going to start talking about like what their priorities are going to be for 2025 and all this kind of stuff. And you're going to hear all this cliche stuff about this year is going to be different. We're going to do this and we're going to do that, right? I love it. It's great. I used to hate that at work because everybody's making all this stuff up. They're going to stop doing my March, but we'll talk about that later on. But no, so we're just talking about priorities. And what we are saying is like, you make a list, right? So to-do list, or you get like a whiteboard. We got a whiteboard with all our priorities on it. And it just gets to the point where you start having a lot of priorities, and then you got to prioritize like what the priorities are, because then you just end up with too many things you're trying to get done.
And you have like you're micromanaging your priority list.
Right.
Which really doesn't make sense.
So then now you got this list, and then you got to prioritize the list and prioritize the priorities. And it takes me back to this story that I like to tell, that I remember that, all right, so y'all know I worked in a warehouse, and warehouses, like, you just see people lifting boxes and stuff like that, right? But really what happens is you get all these orders. I'm talking like hundreds of thousands of orders come in, and they come in, and then those orders have to be prioritized. And there's a person, it's like the Wizard of Oz. They sit up in this tower. Literally, it's like a person in a tower. You got the hat on backwards usually, and something, glasses on, and they're a smart dude, right? Or a young lady, whatever. And their job is to take the orders that come in. They look at like the due date of like when they need to ship, and they prioritize the orders based off of, where in the country they had to go, what level of service they required. If it's something that's like a top priority order that the CEO, we used to put the CEO's name on orders to like make the warehouse think that it was actually the CEO asking for it, and it wasn't, but we would just do that, right? And then we get top priority, right? So it takes me to a story where we, just used for round numbers. When you order something on the internet and you place the order, if you order like next day shipping, right? That order has to go that day because it has to be there wherever it's going to be tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So obviously those orders would get top priority, right? Mm-hmm. Making sense? Mm-hmm. So if you gotta get it there tomorrow, it's gotta ship today. And it's gotta ship by like 8:00 because it still has to leave the building, and then it goes to the airport, and then it goes from the airport to the hub. And I mean, it's just this big complex process, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a person behind the curtain that prioritizes the orders. And then what happens is in the warehouse, you get behind sometimes. You get messed up. So we got messed up, and we can only do like 100 of those next day orders a day out of the thousands of orders we got. So if you miss 3, tomorrow, the priority orders come in. And the 3 you missed from yesterday get top priority because it's a priority that you put on your list that you didn't get done. Mm-hmm. So you just move it to the top of the list because it gets done, right? Well, every year, every warehouse, right around the summertime, because it's hot and people call out, right? Mm-hmm. And then you get all these orders in because if you think about it, the orders that come in for the wintertime, for like the holidays, they come in during the summertime because they come in the summer because you got to get it processed and get it into the stores to get on the shelf. So that way they can be on the shelf by the wintertime. So summertime's super busy, right? So when you start ordering stuff like on the internet, if you miss it, it's got to get top priority. So what happened was we got really messed up and we were missing, we were getting like 100 orders that we had to ship. We got really popular as a business. So we started getting these top priority orders of like 500 a day. Mm-hmm. So we were missing like 400 orders a day. So what would happen is we would miss the orders today, and then usually we take the 2 or 3 that we miss, top of the list, right? New priority. But when you're missing like 200, it's just like this big list of just stuff, right? So we're missing hundreds of orders a day. So then the priority became the new orders coming in because we had this goal sheet, right? So we only can miss so many orders a day. Well, who cares about the orders we missed yesterday because we're not going to get in trouble for them. I mean, the customer service, they're going to call up and be like, yo, it's my box. But for us in the warehouse, it doesn't count to us because that priority, it's not a priority to us anymore. We missed it yesterday, it's gone. Isn't that stupid, right? But I say all to say this. My boss comes in, he was like, man, what's going on here, man? We're like 1,000 orders behind. What's going on? So I was like, let's go upstairs and find out. So we go, hey man, what orders are the priority? And he shows us, right? So then there's like these different levels of priority. You have level 10, 20, all the way up to like 99. So 10 is like the highest order, right? You remember how you were saying earlier, like, so who would get like the priority 10 order? Like, what would that be?
Like maybe a celebrity, athlete.
Yeah. So like, all right. So one time we had this guy, he played quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, right? Tall dude, wore these big long cleats, right? This dude forgot his cleats, and he was going to the Pro Bowl, and he forgot his cleats. It was like priority 10. So we had to run around the warehouse, get these pair of 16 shoes to send them to Hawaii because this dude forgot. So we had to stop everything we're doing. So that's like the highest priority, right? So what happens is if you order something next day, that gets top priority. Now let's just say we can only do 100 a day. And we had like 1,000 missed orders. So it was like this whole sheet. And then Mike, I'm gonna say his name. Mike says, man, I thought we gave like orders were behind on top priority. It's like, we did. So then there's like 1,000 orders with like the highest priority. He's like, you can only do 100 a day and you got 1,000 is like the top priority. And then the wave planner, the dude that's like the Wizard of Oz, he turns around and was like, everything's got to go. And he looks at me and was like, you hear that, Gerard? Everything's got to go. I was like, yeah, he's right. He goes, come here. Because he's never going to yell at me in front of like, he will. But he was like, hey, man, look, this dude's trying to get these orders out and you're not even giving him the priority. He's up here trying to decide what the top priority is and everything's a priority. He goes, man, you got to get this fixed. So what we did was we took all the orders and said, okay, we can only do like 100 a day. So we took like the 100 oldest ones. But then, Gerard, what about the ones that are coming in? We're calling them on the phone going, hey, man, we're not able to get your order. We're experiencing mass delays or whatever. Or we took off the next day option. So that way people wouldn't be expecting it, right? Smart. right? It was smart, but then my boss is looking at me like, you get paid a lot of money to make these smart decisions, and I got to come in here and tell you what to do? And he's right. So then he's like, so what is your priority today? I was like, we got to get all these orders done. He was like, Gerard, when everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. And I was like, all right, man, you got it. So then we went back, right?
Wait, say that again.
When everything is a priority, when everything is a priority, nothing is your priority. You got it?
I need to write that down.
Write it down. I'm going to put it on that board up there, right? But so that's the thing, right? So then now as people, right? Let's look at it like for like regular life stuff. And if you think about it, right? We're all juggling a bunch of balls, right? All the time. But you got to look at it like this. Some of those balls, right? So I look at it like, and this is a dude that we talked about it for years. You got a bunch of balls. You got to keep them all in the air. One of them is,
or some of them.
Well, that's what I'm ready to get to, right? Some of them are rubber. Some of the balls you're juggling, it's going to hit the ground. You know, you're doing the juggling thing, and it's going to bounce back up, right? So just get it out of your way and let it just get it when you need it. Some of them are lead balls. Some of them are preventing you from getting what actually is the priority done. So sometimes you just let that lead ball just drop on the ground. Like you don't need it in your life anymore. But then there's glass ball, right? And what you have to do in your life is you have to figure out what that glass ball is. Like what ball can you not drop, right? What ball do you have to keep afloat no matter what? That if you drop it, game's over, right? So for us, right? And I got this cup, right? I'm gonna show you this cup. This is my glass ball. Look at these people on here. This is, would you agree?
Yeah.
All right. So this is my cup. I'm missing the kid on this cup. That's how old this cup is. This is my glass ball, right? Gotta get the family first, number one, right? Then you got some other stuff that you got to do. So, you know, so like right now, what are you doing in your business?
My business, yeah, I'm working a lot of hours, trying to save some hours.
Yeah. So, and then who are you working with? Like, so
training new people for sure, making sure that they're straight.
All right. So right now that's her priority. Her priority right now is working with her people and to cut costs right now. This is typically a slower time of year. So there's a time, so there's no need to have 3 people sitting around in there when you can go in there and cut their hours and you can work with your employees at the same time to kind of raise the level of service and stuff like that. Right. So that's her top priority. And, you know, so just like we had a capacity in the warehouse, right? The capacity, let's just say, was 100 orders a day. So if we exceeded the capacity, we just had to pick up the rest the next day. So we as human beings have a limited capacity.
Yeah, there's no way around that.
And I always say, you guys know, you guys heard me before, there's 17 hours in a day because you should sleep for 6 or 7, right? So I'll say 7. And then you got 17 hours. So what are you going to do for the rest of 17 hours? That's your capacity, right? So what are you going to get done throughout the day that's your 17 hours that you can get done, that you have to get done so you won't have to roll to the next day? Because what we do is we get this stuff and we have all these priorities. We're going to work out. We're going to eat healthy. We're going to spend time with the kids. We're going to read a book. Because that's what your priority right now is. Right now, you can read books at night, right? So you have all these priorities, but you only have 17 hours in a day. And what we tend to do is we don't roll what we marked as a priority to the next day. We just do what I did at the warehouse. I was like, yo, man, this is like this is done, right? So I learned that a long time ago. And, you know, going forward, and I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. Like we got all these things we want to do and get accomplished. And there's certain things where it's just like, man, I just don't have time to do that.
And you're watching social media and you're just feeling like you need to be doing way more.
Yeah.
Or, you know, everybody has it all together. And we know that's the biggest fabrication on social media. But in your head, you're like, oh, if they're doing this and that, then why can't I get all of this in, you know?
Right. But you can't get it all in. You can't.
And that's okay.
And it's okay.
It's okay.
But you just got to prioritize what you're going to do every day. And some people say they shouldn't have to-do list, right? They should put it on their calendar. I mean, I get it. You got to put it on your calendar the event, right? But at the same time, there's only 17 hours in a freaking day. So you can't put like all the things. You can't, you tell, she just she just got on me about, what'd you do Friday? You went to this lunch, you went to this and that, and I thought you were going to like put your days on what you were going to do each day. Mm-hmm. Well, it's hard to do. I can't see the future. Like I just can't. I try, and I'm trying to be, trying to create the priorities. So, but the thing is now is like, I took her advice. She said, you're doing everything digitally. And she was like, you need a book that you can carry. You were most productive, Gerard, when you carried a book around and you can open it up and look at it and it says, do this and do that.
It's just easier. I know everything is digital and it's great that it's digital. It's actually probably helps a lot of people. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with writing something down, because it's hard to celebrate those small wins, those priorities that you can get done and you do get done if you don't see it on paper. If it's in somewhere digitally, once that screen goes black, it's not there for you to notice it and kind of pat yourself on the back, because sometimes you need that to keep going and get the rest of the priorities done.
And on that note, I think we can drop these mics, right? So think about it. What is it in your life that you are prioritizing, or you think that's a priority that you're not really doing? It ain't a priority if you ain't doing it, right? So really, what's the important thing? What are the glass ball in your life? What's the lead ball? What's the rubber ball? And what things are you going to do every single day to prioritize what's important to you to get the results that you want, right? Mm-hmm. So
just kind of break it down like that. Look at it. And some priorities you're always going to have, and some priorities are just in the moment, like what I have going on with my business but with family. That's something that's always going to be a priority. So,
yeah. All right, cool. Well, we appreciate your time. And Sarah's got a priority that she's got to get to right now, so we're going to let it go because she's got to get to work.
Yep.
Right? So, and I got work to do too. So thanks, guys, for listening.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. See you next time.
See you next time.